Life's unexpected turns. A word of caution for men over 60. Imagine this: a vibrant, 72-year-old man, healthy and living life to the fullest, is suddenly found unconscious in his bathroom. No signs of a struggle, no bodily warnings, just a private moment that occurred at the wrong time. That single instant cost him everything. I'm Dr. Robert Miller, a men's health specialist with over 3 decades of clinical experience. I've dedicated my career to helping older men safeguard their vitality, maintain healthy circulation, and preserve their confidence, all without relying on pills, shame, or guesswork. Over the years, I've witnessed firsthand a silent truth that often goes unspoken: seemingly insignificant daily habits can turn perilous after the age of 60. You've likely heard that self-pleasure is a harmless, even healthy, activity. And for younger men, that may very well be the case. But what if I told you there are specific times of day when this common practice transforms into one of the most dangerous things a senior man can do for his heart, his brain, and his balance? Most men never receive this crucial warning. In this video, you'll uncover the 7 most treacherous times of day for men over 60 to engage in masturbation. These aren't arbitrary warnings. They're based on real physiological risks intricately linked to your blood pressure, hormone cycles, hydration levels, and heart rhythm. You'll also understand why ignoring this advice can lead to alarming consequences like dizziness, blood vessel strain, and even fatal falls. But most importantly, you'll gain clarity and control, knowing precisely how to protect your strength, your independence, and your intimacy in a way that respects your age, rather than fighting against it. In just a few moments, I'll reveal the absolute worst time of day to masturbate after 70, the point when your risk of vascular collapse silently spikes, and when even one misstep could tragically shift you from pleasure to peril. Before we delve into these 7 critical times, I need to share something personal. I've seen too many good men suffer needlessly. If you misunderstand this, the consequences can be devastating, and the price you pay might be far greater than you ever anticipated. Let me be unequivocally clear: this isn't just a gentle suggestion. It's a line in the sand. Because if you continue to engage in self-pleasure at the wrong times of day after 60, you might not get a second chance to correct it. You could pass out alone in your bathroom, striking your head on the unforgiving tile, with no one there to offer assistance. You could suffer a silent heart arrhythmia, the kind that kills without warning, leaving your family bewildered and heartbroken. Or perhaps the damage won't be immediate, but it will be irreversible, gradually weakening your blood vessels, silently stealing your coordination, leaving you too dizzy to navigate stairs or rise from your favorite armchair without clinging to its edge in fear. I've seen it all. Men who lost their ability to walk unaided because of one ill-timed moment. Men who slipped, fell, and never stood again. Men who believed they were fine until the night they didn't wake up. And here's the part no one openly discusses: these aren't isolated incidents. These are common stories. The only rarity is the honesty surrounding them. Most men are too embarrassed to admit what truly happened. Doctors don't routinely ask. Families remain unaware. And so, the cycle continues, silently claiming the strength, the independence, and, in some cases, the very life of the man who thought he was still invincible. But you are not invincible. Not anymore. Your body after 60 doesn't recover with the same resilience it once possessed. A moment of stimulation at the wrong time can overload your nervous system, trigger a sudden drop in blood pressure, disrupt your heart's rhythm, or cause a loss of consciousness in under 10 seconds. And if you're standing, if you're dehydrated, or if you're alone, that single moment could be fatal. This is the true cost: not just embarrassment, not just fatigue, but your freedom, your balance, your mental clarity, or your very life. And that's why this conversation is crucial now, not tomorrow, not when something goes wrong. Right now, while you still have the opportunity to protect yourself. Because the truth is, there are 7 key danger zones in your daily routine, 7 windows of time when your body is at its weakest, most unstable, and most vulnerable to stimulation. You won't see them coming. You won't feel the risk until it's too late. But if you know them, you can avoid them, you can remain safe, strong, and in control. So now, I'm going to reveal these 7 critical times, starting with the most overlooked and most dangerous of all. Stay with me. What you learn in the next few minutes could very well save your life. 1. Right after waking up, when blood pressure surges unexpectedly, most men don't give it a second thought. You wake up in the morning, perhaps with a little arousal, a bit of tension, and you think, why not take care of it right then and there? It feels natural, private, even helpful. But I need you to understand what's truly happening inside your body during those initial minutes after you open your eyes. Because this is one of the most deceptive and dangerous times of day for any man over 60 to engage in self-pleasure. The moment you wake up, your body initiates a sharp transition. Your blood pressure rises rapidly to prepare you for the day's activities. Your heart rate increases. Your adrenal glands release a surge of cortisol and adrenaline, stress hormones designed to jolt your system awake. This isn't a gentle process, especially not for an aging body. For someone in their 20s or 30s, the cardiovascular system can typically handle this transition smoothly. But for men over 60, it can be akin to starting a car engine that hasn't been properly warmed up in months. Now, when you introduce sexual arousal and climax on top of this hormonal storm, you're creating a perfect internal tempest. Masturbation requires blood to flow rapidly to the genitals, diverting circulation away from other vital organs. Orgasm triggers a sudden increase, followed by a sharp drop in blood pressure. Your heart races, your breathing becomes erratic, and your nervous system becomes overstimulated. In younger men, the stress is usually tolerable. But in older adults, particularly those with any degree of heart disease, high blood pressure, or even mild circulatory weakness, this can lead to dangerous outcomes: fleeting vision loss, lightheadedness, or even a sudden cardiac event. I had a patient, a 74-year-old man who was fairly active and believed himself to be healthy, who passed out just minutes after completing his morning routine. When we carefully reviewed what had occurred, it became clear that he had masturbated the moment he woke up. His blood pressure had already spiked, and the added physical exertion pushed his heart beyond its safe threshold. He struck his head on the bathroom counter. He survived, thank goodness, but it irrevocably changed his life. He now requires assistance to walk, and his independence is gone. He told me, with tears in his eyes, if someone had just told me it was risky, I never would have done it. That's precisely why I'm telling you now. What seems like a harmless act of relief can become a moment that dramatically alters the course of your life. Your body needs time to awaken gradually. It requires hydration, movement, and oxygen, not overstimulation, and certainly not at a time when your blood vessels are tightening and your heart is already working harder than it should. So, before you succumb to that early morning urge, ask yourself, is the fleeting pleasure worth the potential price your aging body might have to pay? Your body possesses wisdom now, but it's also more vulnerable. This isn't about shame. It's about survival. Now, if you think that was dangerous, wait until you hear what happens during a different time of day, one that almost every senior falls victim to without even realizing it. Let's discuss the hidden risks of afternoon fatigue. 2. During afternoon fatigue, when your energy is lowest, there's a quiet danger lurking in the middle of your day. It doesn't announce itself with fanfare. It slips in unnoticed, disguised as tiredness, as a need to relax, to lie down, to disconnect. For many seniors, this is the time when the body naturally begins to slow down, typically between 2 p.m. and 4 p.m. It's during this lull that you might feel the urge for a little release, a brief escape. You might think, I'm home, I'm alone, I deserve this moment. And you're not wrong to desire peace or comfort. But I've seen this time window become a turning point in more lives than I can count. Here's the truth most men don't know: your body in the afternoon is at one of its most vulnerable points. Blood pressure tends to dip. Circulation slows. Your nervous system is in a mild slump, which is why so many people experience drowsiness or a lack of motivation during these hours. The heart beats more gently, the brain relaxes its alertness, and your muscles, especially in older bodies, become more prone to stiffness, imbalance, and sluggish response times. When you introduce sexual stimulation during this phase, you force the body into an abrupt shift from low energy to high demand. That sudden jolt can severely strain the cardiovascular system. For older men, it's not just about the fatigue that follows climax. It's about the unpredictable drop in blood pressure, how arousal depletes energy reserves your body doesn't readily have, and how it leaves you susceptible to disorientation, shallow breathing, and even blackouts. I once had a man in his early 70s tell me he fell asleep in his recliner after pleasuring himself mid-afternoon and woke up 3 hours later unable to move his neck. He initially dismissed it as mere stiffness. 2 days later, he was in the emergency room being treated for a minor stroke. The risk is real. Afternoon masturbation can trigger what doctors call postural hypotension, a rapid drop in blood pressure when you change positions. For men who masturbate seated and then stand up too quickly afterward, this can mean collapsing on the spot, hitting furniture, or suffering a serious head injury. Even if a fall doesn't occur, many seniors report extreme sleepiness, weakness in their legs, and a foggy mental state that persists for hours afterward. These are not mere coincidences. They are symptoms of a system under excessive stress. You've navigated life this far by listening to your body. Now, more than ever, it's crucial to continue doing so. Afternoon fatigue isn't a signal to push through. It's a time to rest, hydrate, stretch gently, or even take a short nap. If intimacy is something you desire, plan it for hours when your body is stronger, more alert, and better prepared to respond safely. Because as harmful as afternoon fatigue can be, there's another moment, one we rarely perceive as risky, that carries a completely different kind of danger. It's a time when your body is already under internal pressure, but of a different sort, and you may be unknowingly sabotaging your health. Let's take a closer look at what happens when you choose the wrong moment, right after a big meal. 3. Immediately after a big meal, when digestion takes priority. It might surprise you to hear this, but some of the most dangerous moments for older men aren't during strenuous activity, but during something completely ordinary, enjoying a hearty lunch or dinner. You finish your meal, push your plate aside, and perhaps you feel that familiar wave of satisfaction, that urge to sit back, relax, and let your body settle. For some men, especially those living alone or with flexible schedules, that moment becomes an opportunity for a little self-pleasure or reward, perhaps a break from the day's demands, a way to ease into the afternoon or evening. But what you don't see is the hidden battle raging inside your body the moment you finish eating. Immediately after a substantial meal, your body redirects almost all of its focus to digestion. Your heart pumps more blood toward your stomach and intestines. Your blood vessels widen in some areas and constrict in others. Your energy is channeled to your core. This intricate process ensures smooth digestion, but it also means that the rest of your system is operating with minimal support. When you engage in masturbation during this critical window, you are essentially demanding blood flow in another direction toward your pelvic region, toward the sexual organs. This creates a direct conflict within your own body. It's like asking your heart to be in two places at once. And for men over 60, that's a demand your cardiovascular system may not be able to meet. I once worked with a 69-year-old man who admitted that he often felt lightheaded after pleasuring himself shortly after meals. Initially, he dismissed it as a normal part of aging. But when he fainted in his kitchen after dinner one evening, it became alarmingly clear that the issue was far more serious. The post-meal blood diversion, combined with the physical exertion of orgasm, had caused such a rapid drop in his blood pressure that he collapsed before he could brace himself. The fall resulted in a fractured pelvis, and he spent 8 weeks in rehabilitation. He confided in me afterward, "If I'd known it was dangerous, I never would have risked it for something so trivial." The truth is, even if the immediate damage isn't apparent, the cumulative effect adds up. Repeatedly masturbating right after meals can strain your digestive process, leading to nausea or cramping, trigger headaches due to poor oxygenation, or bring on sudden, overwhelming fatigue. And for those managing diabetes or blood sugar fluctuations, Climax during this digestive state can exacerbate insulin resistance or lead to unexpected blood sugar crashes. This isn't about depriving you of your freedom. It's about empowering you to make smarter choices by understanding your body's natural rhythms. Your body isn't failing you. It's simply different now, and it requires your cooperation, not your opposition. But if you think the digestive system presents a tricky scenario, wait until we examine something even more subtle and potentially far more dangerous. It's something you don't feel coming until it's too late, and it's likely happening to you more often than you realize: dehydration. 4. While dehydrated, a hidden risk that strikes fast, most men don't give hydration a second thought. You feel okay, you haven't been sweating excessively, and maybe you've had a cup or two of coffee. So, what's the harm? But what you might not realize is that as we age, our ability to accurately sense thirst diminishes. And by the time you actually feel thirsty, your body is already operating at a deficit. That's when silent damage begins to accumulate, and when something as private and personal as masturbation can quietly become a significant risk. Your blood relies on water to flow efficiently. Your muscles need hydration to move without cramping. Your heart needs sufficient fluid in the bloodstream to pump effectively and avoid undue strain. When you're even mildly dehydrated, your blood becomes thicker, your blood vessels constrict, and your cardiovascular system has to work considerably harder just to keep you upright. Now, introduce sexual arousal into that equation, an act that increases your heart rate, draws blood to your pelvic region, and triggers a sudden release of tension. You've now placed enormous strain on a system that was already under pressure. I recall one gentleman in his late 60s who shared with me that he began experiencing leg cramps and heart palpitations immediately after climaxing. It didn't make sense to him until we meticulously reviewed his daily routine. He consumed virtually no water throughout the day, relying instead on several cups of coffee. Then, in the early afternoon, he would feel the urge for self-pleasure and act on it. His muscles were desperately craving hydration, his blood pressure was unstable, and his body, instead of relaxing after orgasm, would react with sharp cramping and a pounding heart. He initially attributed it to anxiety, but in reality, it was his body desperately waving a red flag. Dehydration affects more than just comfort. It disrupts circulation, lowers energy levels, and significantly increases the risk of urinary tract infections. For men dealing with prostate issues, this is particularly dangerous. After climax, if the bladder and urethra don't flush properly due to a lack of fluid, bacteria can linger and multiply, leading to more frequent and troublesome infections. The sensation of relief can become intertwined with burning discomfort or a more frequent urge to urinate, sometimes within hours. You might also experience post-orgasm dizziness or even confusion. This isn't psychological. It's your brain reacting to a lack of oxygen-rich blood. And for seniors, even brief episodes of confusion can lead to accidents, slips, or disorientation that leaves you feeling unsteady and shaken for the remainder of the day. I want you to understand that this isn't about restricting your pleasure. It's about safeguarding your well-being. And proper hydration is one of the simplest yet most frequently overlooked ways to do just that. If you're planning to engage in self-intimacy, drink water first. Give your body the foundational strength it needs to navigate the experience safely. But while dehydration is a subtle risk, there's another moment that's even more deceptive because it often feels inherently safe and relaxing. And it happens in the one room of the house where most accidents become fatal, the bathroom. Let's discuss what truly happens when you masturbate right after a shower. 5. Right after showering, a false sense of relaxation. There's an undeniable comfort in a warm shower. It eases muscle tension, calms frayed nerves, and offers a moment of tranquility in an otherwise hectic or lonely day. For many older men, it feels like the perfect opportunity to completely unwind, perhaps even to indulge in a moment of private pleasure. And I understand why it feels safe, quiet, and personal. But what you perceive on the surface doesn't accurately reflect the physiological changes occurring deep within your body. And that disconnect could cost you more than you realize. You see, when you step out of a warm shower, your body is still under the lingering influence of the heat. That warmth causes vasodilation, your blood vessels expand, leading to a slight drop in blood pressure and a slowing of circulation in certain areas. You might already feel a little lightheaded, especially if the bathroom is steamy or if you've been standing for an extended period. But the danger doesn't end there. If you choose that moment to engage in masturbation standing, still warm, perhaps slightly unsteady, you're asking your heart and nervous system to respond forcefully. Sexual stimulation rapidly redirects blood flow to the lower body, which directly competes with the circulatory adjustments already taking place post-shower. For seniors, this rapid shift in pressure and blood volume distribution can trigger a cascade of problems: dizziness, a racing or irregular heartbeat, nausea, sudden weakness in the legs, and even collapse. And in the bathroom, surrounded by hard tile, sharp corners, and wet surfaces, one fall is all it takes. I've sat with families devastated by what seemed like a freak accident: a father found unconscious in the shower, a grandfather who slipped and fractured his hip, unable to call for help. In too many cases, the real cause was never spoken aloud, buried under layers of silence and embarrassment. But the pattern is undeniable. When the body's instability meets the demands of sexual stimulation, tragedy can follow. Even if the outcome isn't catastrophic, it can still be significantly damaging: feeling faint after climax, needing to grip the sink for balance, struggling to catch your breath or dry off without shaking. That's not normal aging. That's your body urgently signaling, not now, not like this. And if you ignore that vital warning, the next one might come when it's far too late to respond. I often tell my patients this: the bathroom is not your safe haven for stimulation. It's where too many strong men have unknowingly reached their limits. Allow your body to cool down first. Sit, hydrate, let your heart regain its steady rhythm before you even consider engaging in any activity that increases your internal pressure. Because the truth is, timing is paramount. And the next time window we'll explore disguises itself behind something we all experience, but few of us truly understand. It's not physical. It's emotional. And when you're under its influence, even the smallest choice can spiral into consequences that linger far longer than you expect. Let's discuss what happens when you masturbate while emotionally stressed. 6. During high emotional stress, when the body is already overloaded, there are moments in life when the weight of everything feels heavier than usual: grief, loneliness, frustration, regret. You might feel it as a tightness in your chest, a lump in your throat, in the profound silence of a room that once felt full of life. And sometimes, in those deeply vulnerable moments, the urge to seek solace through self-pleasure can arise. It's a natural human impulse, a yearning for release, for connection, even if only with oneself. But this is also one of the riskiest times to act on that urge, because your body isn't just tired. It's already operating under significant duress. When you're experiencing high emotional stress, your sympathetic nervous system, the part of your body responsible for the fight or flight response, is fully engaged. Cortisol levels surge. Your heart beats faster. Blood vessels constrict. Your breathing becomes shallow and rapid. It's as if your body is bracing for imminent danger, even when there's no tangible threat in your immediate surroundings. And then, when you attempt to introduce pleasure, something that ideally demands relaxation, deep circulation, and hormonal balance, you are essentially fighting against your own fundamental physiology. I had a patient once, a widower in his early 70s, who shared something with me that has stayed with me for years. He confessed that after the profound loss of his wife, he began to rely on masturbation not for physical pleasure, but as a form of escape. He hoped it might help him fall asleep, take the sharp edge off his grief, or numb the pervasive loneliness. But each time he engaged in this during those periods of intense emotional distress, he felt demonstrably worse afterward, not just emotionally, but physically. He would experience heart palpitations, shortness of breath, and a strange, sinking weakness that left him feeling profoundly shaken. He even began to question his sanity. In reality, his body was simply reacting to being pushed too far in a fundamentally compromised state. You see, emotional stress is already a significant physical burden. Your blood pressure elevates, your immune function weakens, and your mental clarity suffers. Add the physiological demands of sexual stimulation to this already strained system, and you risk tipping the delicate balance. For older men, the potential consequences can be serious: panic-like episodes during climax, post-orgasm depression, significant difficulty breathing, or, in more extreme cases, sudden cardiac instability. You might not even consciously connect these alarming symptoms to the act you just engaged in, but I assure you, the link is very real. There's absolutely nothing wrong with wanting to feel good again, especially during difficult times. But the timing must support healing, not exacerbate the underlying emotional wound. When you're feeling angry, intensely anxious, overwhelmed by stress, or deeply sad, your body is simply not in a state to receive pleasure safely. In those vulnerable moments, what you need most is compassion, gentle movement, proper hydration, restorative rest, a supportive phone call, prayer, or any activity that calms the overactive nervous system, rather than further stimulating it. And when you've allowed yourself that crucial time for emotional and physiological regulation, when your breathing slows, and your heart finds its steady rhythm once more, then perhaps intimacy with yourself can become something genuinely nurturing, not potentially harmful. But now, we arrive at a time of day that many mistakenly believe is the safest for this kind of private release. In truth, it's often one of the most misunderstood, and its consequences can quietly follow you into the night. Let's examine what truly happens when you masturbate right before bed. 7. Right before bed, when the body needs recovery, not strain. For many older men, nighttime seems like the safest, most private window for self-intimacy. The day's demands have ended, the world outside has quieted, and there's no one around to interrupt or pass judgment. In the stillness of the evening, it might even feel like a comforting ritual, one last moment to unwind, to release lingering tension, or perhaps to drift off to sleep a little more peacefully. I understand that it's a deeply ingrained human instinct. But the truth is, for men over 60, what appears to be a harmless bedtime habit can quietly steal from you the very rest and recovery your aging body desperately needs. As the sun sets, your body begins a fundamental shift, entering a natural phase of repair and restoration. Your heart rate gradually slows, your blood pressure begins to gently drop, and your core body temperature lowers. The crucial hormones that promote relaxation, melatonin and serotonin, start to rise, while the stress hormone cortisol naturally fades into the background. Your entire nervous system is preparing to heal and rejuvenate. But when you interrupt this delicate and essential process with the physiological demands of arousal and orgasm, you create a sudden wave of stimulation that your body may not be well equipped to handle at that particular hour. After climax, your heart rate can temporarily rise again. Blood vessels can constrict. For some men, especially those dealing with any degree of prostate inflammation or mild urinary issues, that late-night climax can trigger frustratingly frequent bathroom trips throughout the night. You might indeed fall asleep faster initially, but the subsequent sleep is often lighter, more fragmented, and less restorative. You may find yourself waking up multiple times, feeling inexplicably unrested, slightly disoriented, even irritable, and you might not even consciously connect these negative effects to your bedtime routine. I recall one patient, a 71-year-old man I worked with, who shared that his nights were becoming increasingly restless. He would wake up several times to urinate, and his dreams had become unusually vivid and disturbing. He initially attributed it to simply getting older. But when we thoroughly examined his daily habits, we discovered that he regularly masturbated right before going to bed. Once he adjusted the timing, allowing at least 2 hours of quiet wind-down afterward, his sleep quality began to improve dramatically. He told me it felt as though his body was finally getting a full night's rest again. The seemingly innocuous habit can also negatively impact your body's ability to fully detoxify and regenerate during sleep. Sleep is the critical period when your brain actively flushes out metabolic waste products, your muscles undergo essential repair processes, and your immune system effectively resets itself. If your system is overstimulated by late-night sexual activity, these vital healing processes can be significantly interrupted. What might begin as a minor disruption one bad night of sleep can quickly snowball into persistent days of fatigue, impaired balance, foggy thinking, and reduced overall motivation. You're not just losing sleep. You're subtly losing strength, mental clarity, and inner peace. The ultimate goal here isn't to eliminate pleasure from your life. It's to protect its rightful place within a body that deserves proper care and respect. So, instead of allowing climax to be the very last thing you do before attempting to sleep, consider making it a part of your earlier evening routine. Allow your body ample time to settle down afterward. Let your system gently drift into a state of rest with a clear signal that it's time to restore and rejuvenate, not to react and recover from a sudden surge of physiological activity. But now that we've explored all 7 of these potentially risky moments, you might be understandably wondering, is there ever a truly safe time for older men to engage in self-pleasure? The answer, thankfully, is a resounding yes. In fact, there's a specific part of the day when your body is naturally aligned for stability, strength, and recovery, and that's precisely what we're going to explore next. 8. So, when is the safest time? After all, we've covered the warnings, the potential risks, the hidden dangers. It's only natural to ask, is there ever a genuinely safe time for older men to engage in self-pleasure? The answer, thankfully, is yes. But it's not simply about choosing a moment when you have privacy or when the house is quiet. It's about consciously selecting a time when your body is at its most stable, most energized, and least vulnerable to the sudden physiological shifts that can accompany arousal and orgasm. That optimal window for most men over 60 is typically late morning, generally between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. By this point in your day, your body has had a sufficient opportunity to fully awaken. Your blood pressure has likely leveled out from its initial morning surge. You've probably had some hydration, perhaps a light breakfast, and engaged in some gentle movement. Your circulation is flowing more smoothly, your brain is clearer and more alert, and your heart has settled into a more even and predictable rhythm. This is when your body is generally best equipped to handle the temporary demands of sexual stimulation. In my many years of working with older men, I've observed a consistent pattern. Those who intentionally waited until late morning to engage in any form of intimacy, whether with a partner or privately, reported fewer adverse side effects, better sustained energy levels afterward, and fewer instances of dizziness, fatigue, or emotional dips. They generally felt more in control of their bodies, more connected to their overall well-being, and more confident in managing their health proactively. This isn't a mere coincidence. It's the natural alignment of your physiology working in your favor. There's another significant benefit to this specific timing as well. It subtly reframes the act itself. When self-pleasure is approached not as a hurried secret, a quick escape, or a last-ditch effort at the end of a long day, but instead as a conscious and integrated part of your overall wellness routine, it fundamentally alters the entire experience. You're no longer sneaking in a moment to numb or distract yourself. Instead, you're actively choosing a time to connect with your own body when it is at its strongest, its clearest, and least likely to experience harm. It transforms into a moment of self-care and strength, rather than one of potential vulnerability. One of my patients, a 67-year-old retired engineer, shared with me that he began intentionally setting aside time in the mid-morning, a few times a week, not just for pleasure, but also as a form of personal self-check-in. He found that it helped him stay more attuned to his energy levels, his hydration status, and his overall emotional state. He began to perceive intimacy not as something separate from his health, but as an integral thread woven into the fabric of his well-being. That simple shift in perspective changed everything for him. So, if you've been wondering when it's truly safe, when it's genuinely best to engage in this natural and healthy act, the answer is straightforward: wait until your body has fully transitioned into the day. Give it the respect it deserves. Hydrate adequately, engage in some gentle movement, breathe deeply, and then, If the desire arises and your mind feels calm and present, know that you're choosing a time when your body is most resilient and ready to respond without undue risk. Because after 60, it's not just about what you do. It's profoundly about when and how you do it that matters most for your continued health and vitality. And now that you understand the safest time, let's bring everything together and discuss what this crucial information means for your life moving forward. A final word from Dr. Robert Miller: you've just gained knowledge that most men your age have never been privy to. Not from their doctors, not from their friends, not even from the general health warnings they believed covered all the bases. But now, you possess a vital truth: after 60, timing is everything. What once felt harmless or routine can silently evolve into a genuine threat to your strength, your balance, and even your very life. This isn't about instilling shame or fear. It's about fostering awareness, about honoring the incredible body that has carried you through so many years, and about actively protecting the precious life you still have ahead of you. You absolutely deserve to experience pleasure, peace, and meaningful connection, but in a way that actively supports your health, rather than inadvertently jeopardizing it. Begin to approach these private moments with the same thoughtful care and consideration you give to your medications, your nutritious meals, and your regular physical activity. Choose the timing wisely, and pay close attention to the subtle yet significant messages your body is constantly sending you. Because the seemingly small choices you make today will profoundly shape the strength and vitality you carry into tomorrow. You are not too old to remain strong. You are certainly not too late to proactively protect what truly matters. And now, armed with this crucial understanding, you are no longer unaware. You now possess the power to transform a private habit into a conscious act of longevity and self-respect. Use this knowledge wisely. You've earned the right to live fully and authentically. Now, I genuinely love to hear from you. Take a moment for personal reflection and share one key insight you've gained from this discussion and one concrete step you plan to implement in your own life. Let's build a supportive community where we can openly embrace these truths and empower one another on this journey toward healthier aging. If you found this video informative and helpful, please take a moment to leave a comment with a 1. If, for any reason, it didn't resonate with you, feel free to comment with a 0. Your honest feedback is invaluable to us. And please, don't forget to like this video, share it with others who might benefit from this crucial information, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more insightful content like this. Thank you so much for your time and attention. Here's to living a long, healthy, and fulfilling life, on your own terms. Valuable lesson: wisdom in aging lies not in resisting the natural changes of the body, but in understanding and adapting to them. By consciously choosing the right times for even seemingly harmless activities, we can significantly protect our health, independence, and overall quality of life. Please share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more vital health information. On a scale of 1 to 10, how helpful did you find this video? Let us know.